Salvete omnes. This is Abbey Latin Liber Primus, chapter 17. This is exercise A of chapter 17. And we are synopsizing verbs, starting with number 3. Lego in the third person singular. First, as always, before embarking on a verb synopsis, you must know that verb's principal parts. So when you look up Lego in a dictionary, you get Lego, legere, legi, lectus. So you need to know all 4 principal parts and then identify what conjugation this verb is. This verb is a third conjugation verb. You know it's a third conjugation verb because the principal parts end in O, ere, a short E, R-E, and then letter I pronounced E, and then us, O, ere, E, us. It's not a second conjugation. A second conjugation, the first principal part would end in AO, an E, and then an O, and then there would be a long E, R-E, an E with a macron over it in the second principal part. But this is a short E, so lego, legere, legi, lectus. And it means to read. I want to read, I read, I have read. Notice that it's spelled the same, just pronounced differently. So this is going to be in the third person singular. So in the active voice, we're going to use the personal endings OST, the letter T, mustis, und. We're going to use the T because we're using the third person singular forms of the verb. So lots of T's in the active voice. In the passive voice, the personal endings ra, res, tur, we're going to use tur, more, many, untur are used. So in the active we have t, and the passive tur, tur. But first, before that, we have to get the stems of the verb. Third conjugation verbs, the stems are found, the present stem is found by chopping the O off of the first principal part. So lego, chop the O off the first principal part, and you get leg. And that is the present stem, which we're going to use in the present, imperfect, and future, active and passive voice. That part is the same as the first and second conjugation. In a first and second conjugation, however, the present stem is found by chopping the RE off of the second principal part. Do not do that to find the present stem of a third conjugation. You chop the O off the first principal part to get leg. Now we're not just going to add the T to get legt, or the tur to get lectur. We have to add a vowel. Most of the time we're going to add the letter I. Lego, legis, legit, legimus, legitis. Legunt, in the third person plural, we would add a U before the NT. But in the third person singular, we're going to add the T. So legit, legit. Add the I and then the T. Make sure you add the I. We're going to translate this as he, she, it reads. He, she, it is reading. Now I realize that lego, legere, legi, lectus means to choose, to gather, to collect. But most of the time when you see it, it does mean to read. It mostly means to gather, collect when it's prefixed. Otherwise, by itself, it usually means to read. In the passive, you're going to add the letter I before the tur to get legitur. He, she, it is read, or he, she, it is being read. For the imperfects, we're going to add an E before the ba to get legebat, legebat. He, she, it was reading. In the passive, we're going to add an E before the ba to get legebator. Legebator. He, she, it was being read. The being is important, Ben. For the future, do not use bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitis, bunt. Those are the endings of the future for the first and second conjugations only. The future of a third conjugation is es, et, emus, etis, and. You must use the future endings es, et, emus, etis, and. So we want et. Notice it is different from legit, the present. The present is legit, he, she, it reads. The future is leget, leget, he, she, it will read. The passive future does not use bor, beris, bitor, bimor, bimini, buntor. Those are the future endings of the passive voice for the first and second conjugations only. The third conjugation uses the passive future endings ar as in ar, and then eris, long E, R-I-S, etur, emur, emini, entur. So we want etur, legetur. Notice it is different from legitur. Legitur with an I, and the accent is on the E, and then legetur with an E. He, she, it will be read. Okay, and that is where the third conjugation is the wonkiest in the present imperfect and future. Otherwise, it is formed exactly the same as the first and second conjugations, which is kind of nice. You go to the third principal part and chop off the I, just like a first and second conjugation, to get the perfect stem leg. And we're going to put that in the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect active only, just like a first and second conjugation, leg. Notice that you need the macron over the letter E, leg. You'll see why in a second to distinguish from the present. Now, the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect passive will use the fourth principal part, just like a first and second conjugation. Treat it like an adjective with the first and second declension. So, lectus aum, and we'll go right here. Lectus aum, and lectus aum. And each one of these will need a helping verb. The perfect passive will use the present tense of sum as the helping verb. The pluperfect passive will use the imperfect of sum as the helping verb. And the future perfect passive will use the future of sum as the helping verb, just like a first and second conjugation. So lectus aum, all the way down here. Leg, the perfect stem in the active. Now let's add our endings. For the perfect tense, the endings are the same. I, isti, it. Imus, istis, erunt. Just attach it to it. So legit. Notice it is different from legit. Legit and legit. Totally different. Legit. He, she, it read. He, she, it has read. They did the thing. Snap of the fingers. They did the reading. The passive lectus aum, helping verb, sum es est. Sumus estis sunt. Lectus aum est. He has been read, or he was read, would be lectus est. She was read, or she has been read, would be lecta est. And then lectum est, the neuter, would be it has been read, or it was read. The pluperfect active uses the endings eram, eras, erat. Eramos, eratus, erant. We want erat because it's third person singular. Legerat, he, she, it had read. The passive, lectosa erat, the imperfect of sum as the helping verb. Notice the active uses the imperfect of sum as a verb ending. And in the passive, it's a helping verb. Lectosa erat, he, she, it had been read. With this being the masculine, this being the feminine, and being the neuter. Lectus erat, lecta erat, lectum erat. The future perfect active uses ero, eris, eret, erimus, eritis, erent. We want eret, third person singular. Legaret, he, she, it will have read. The passive, lectosa eret, the future of sum is the helping verb. Ero, eris, eret, erimus, eritis, erunt, unt, erunt would be the third person plural. He, she, it will have been read is lectosa eret. The imperative singular. To form the imperative singular of a third conjugation verb, you go to the second principal part and chop off the re, and you get lege, lege, where you order one person to read. Read, thou, you, read. The passive, legere, is the same as the second principal part, just like a first and second conjugation. Be read. Come on, you, get read. The imperative plural, you take the present stem, leg, and then you add ite, and ite, legite. Read ye. Come on, guys. Let's get reading. Come on, read. I need you to read. Legite, legite. Then the passive, legimini, legimini. That would be the same as the second plural, present passive indicative. So it would be the same form as ye are being read. Context will tell you if it's that translation or the imperative passive plural, be read, ye. Come on, guys, get read. Hurry up, let's do it. Optime, very well done. Now let's move back to number 1. Mitto, mittere, misi, misus. You need to know the principal parts. We are dealing with a first person singular. We want mitto, mittere, misi, misus in the first person singular. That means that for the present tense, you can just write mitto. Mitto, the first principal part. Mitto, I send. I am sending. So the verb means send, sent, sent. I want to send. I sent. I have sent. The passive, the present passive, takes the first principal part mitto and adds the letter r. Ra. Mittor. Mittor. I am being sent. I am sent right now. The imperfect takes the present stem, and the future does as well in the active and the passive, now that we have the present tense of the first person singular verb out of the way. So, what kind of conjugation is this? This is a third conjugation. O, ere, I, us. Not eo, ere, I, us. That's a second conjugation. This is a third conjugation. O, ere, I, us. So you take the present stem. For a third conjugation, you go to the first principal part and chop off the O. You get mit, M-I-T-T. So write mit, M-I-T-T, for the imperfect future active and passive. Now we're going to add the letter E between the stem mit and the ba to get mittebat. I'm sorry, first person singular. Mittebam. Mittebam. I was sending. I used to send. The passive would be mittebar. I was being sent. The being is important, Ben. The future active. This is a third conjugation, so I better not see any bo, bis, bit endings. The third conjugation uses es, et, emus, etis, ent. So I should see mittam, mittam. I will send, I shall send. The passive, I better not see any bor, beris, bitor endings on this, because this is the future of a third conjugation. The passive in the future uses ar and ar, eris, etor, amor, emini, entor. So mittar, mittar, it's the present stem mit with a double T, and then letter A, and then R. Mittar. I will be sent. I shall be sent. Optime. Now the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect active use the perfect stem. Third principal part, chop off the I to get miss, M-I-S. So M-I-S. The passive uses the fourth principal part, missus. Treat it like an adjective of the first and second declension, missus aum, and write that for the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect, passive only. We're going to add a helping verb for the perfect passive, the present of sum, the pluperfect passive, the imperfect of sum, and the future passive, the future of sum as the helping verb. So starting with the perfect active, we have mis, and then add the perfect tense personal endings. We want the first person singular, I, or I, isti, it, imus, istis, erunt, so missi. You could have also just written down the third principal part. Missi, I sent, I have sent. The passive, missus aum sum, missus aum sum. I was sent, I have been sent. The pluperfect active, miseram, with one S, because the perfect stem has one S, mis. Miseram, I had sent. The passive, missus, with the double S, missus. Eram, I had been sent. Future perfect active, misero, I will have sent. The future perfect passive, missus ero, I will have been sent. The imperative singular, it's a third conjugation, so chop the re off of the second principal part to get mitte, mitte, send thou. Come on, you, send. The passive, mittere, same as the second principal part. Be sent. Come on, you, get sent. The imperative plural active, present stem mit, M-I-T-T, and then that ite, I-T-E, mittite, mittite, send ye. Come on, guys, send. And then the passive, mittimini, mittimini, be sent ye. Come on, do it. Optime. We have duco, ducere, duxi, ductus, which means to lead. Notice the principal parts. I want to lead. I led. I have led. Change the spelling as opposed to read. So duco, ducere, duxi, ductus. It's a third conjugation. O, ere, I, us. Second person singular. Watch out for second person singulars in the present and the future. So here we go. Present stem is duke. D-U-C. Go to the first principal part because it's a third conjugation. Chop off the O. Get duke. D-U-C. Right? Duke. in the present imperfect future, active and passive. Now for the present tense, we're going to add an I between the stem and the S, so ducis, ducis, D-U-C-I-S, ducis. You lead. You are leading. You do lead. Passive is weird. It's duke, present stem, but then eris, E-R-I-S. It's a short E. Short E-R-I-S. So it's duceris. Duceris. You are led. You are being led. It's happening right now. You are being led. You're not doing the leading. That would be active voice. You are being led. Imperfect active. Present stem duke. Add the E and then the ba. Ducebas. You were leading. The passive ducebaris. You were being led. Being is important, Ben. You need it. Now for the future, no bo bis bit. So no bis, no ducebis. It's terrible. We're going to add s, es, the endings s, et, emos, etis, en. So duces, different from ducis, the present tense. Ducis, you are leading. Duces, you will lead. Now the passive, the present passive was duceris, D-U-C-E-R-I-S. Now the future is spelled the same way, D-U-C-E-R-I-S, but the E is a long E. Duceris, and the pronunciation is different. Duceris, because the future passive endings for the third conjugation is ar, eris, etor, amor, amini, antor. So eris, long E-R-I-S, duceris. You will be led, which is different from duceris. You are being led. Duceris and duceris. Nice. So the perfect, pluperfect, future perfect active uses the perfect stem dux. Chop the I off the third principal part, dux. And the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect passive uses ductus. And we're going to use ductus aum, treat it like an adjective of the first and second declension. Ductus aum, with a helping verb. So the perfect tense active voice endings are e, isti, it, imus, istis, era. So isti, duxisti, duxisti. You led. You led, the English second principal part. You have led. That would be the English third principal part, which is the same. And then the passive would be ductus aum, helping verb would be s, the present of sum. Sum es est, sumus estis sum. So ductus aum es. You were led, third principal part. You have been led, third principal part. Duxerat, or duxeras. Duxeras, you had led. That would be the third principal part. You had led. Then the pluperfect passive. Ductus aum eras. You had been led. Future perfect active would take dux and then add eris. Duxeris. You will have led. And then the passive would be ductus aum eris. You will have been led. Optime, the imperatives. Now, duco has an irregular imperative, just like dico does. So the irregular imperative is duc, D-U-C, not duque. It's just duc, D-U-C. Lead, thou. Come on, you, lead. Duc. Now the passive would be ducere, second principal part. Be led, thou. Come on, you, get led. The plural is ducite, present stem duc, plus ite, ducite. Lead, ye. Come on, you guys, lead. The passive is ducimini. Ducimini. Be led, ye. Come on, you guys, get led. Optime. Number 4. Defendo, defendere, defendi, defensus. To defend. I want to defend. I defended. I have defended. So we want the first person plural. The present stem is going to be, well, it's a third conjugation verb, so defend, just like the English. Drop the O off of the first principal part, defend, and write defend in the present imperfect future, active and passive voice. We want first person plural, so ost mus, mus, tisunt, for the active voice, and the passive we use more, from arestur, more miniuntur, so mus and then more. So defendimus, defendimus, it's defend and then add an I, the letter I, and then mus, defendimus. We defend, we are defending, we do defend. The passive, defendimur, add an I between the stem defend and the ending more. Defendimur, we are being defended. We are defended. The imperfect adds the letter E, pronounced between the stem and the ba. Defendebamus, defendebamus, we were defending. The passive, defendebamur, we were being defended. The being is important, Ben. No bobus bit endings on this third conjugation verb. For the future, we want esset, amus, atis et, amus, in mus. Defendemus, very different from defendimus. Defendimus, present tense. Defendemus, future tense. We will defend. Passive, defendamur, emur, defendamur, erisatur, amor, amini, antor, defendamur, we will be defended. The perfect, pluperfect, future perfect uses the perfect stem defend. Oh wait, that's the same as the present stem. Oh well, I'm sure it won't make a difference. I'm very sure. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Anyway, so defend, defend, and defend as the perfect stem. The supine stem, fourth principal part, defense. We're going to use defensus like a first and second declension adjective, but make sure it's plural, because we're dealing with a first-person plural. So not us, the masculine us, the feminine the neuter but the plural defensi, 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 defensa. So defensi, defensa, defensi, defensa. Defensi, defensi, and defensi, for the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect passive. Just going to add some helping verbs, first person plural. So, defendimus. Oh wow, it's the same as the present tense. Context will tell you which one is correct, because we have the endings isti et imus istis erunt. Defendimus. We defended. We have defended. We did defend. The passive, defensi, sumus. Make sure it's plural. Defensi, sumus. We were defended. We have been defended. For defensi sumus, defensae sumus, and defensa sumus. The plural, defenderamus. Defenderamus. We had defended. And the passive defensi eramus. We had been defended. We had been defended. The future perfect active. Defenderemus. Defenderemus. We will have defended. And the passive defensi eremus. We will have been defended. The imperative active, singular, is the second principal part. Chop off the RE to get defende. Defende. Defend. Come on, you, singular, thou, defend. The passive, defendere. Same as the second principal part. Be defended. Come on, you, get defended. For the plural, take the present stem defend and add ite. Defendite. Defend ye. Come on, you guys, defend. And then the passive, defendimini. Defendimini. Be defended ye. Come on, you guys, be defended. Number 5, we have dico, dicere, dixi, dictus. In the second person plural, I want to say, I said, I have said. The three principal parts in English. Okay, third conjugation verb, the present stem is dic, D-I-C. We're going to write that for the present, imperfect, future, active, and passive voice. Then add the appropriate endings. OST, mus, tis. Oh, it's second person plural, tis. For the active, restor, more, mini, untor. We want mini for the passive. So the present active would be dicatis. Dicatis. Ye say. Y'all are saying. Ye do say. Add an I between the stem dic and the tis. Dicatis. The passive is dicimini. Dicimini. Add an I between the present stem dic and the mini. Dicimini. Ye are being said. That doesn't sound weird at all. The imperfect active. Add the letter E between the stem and the ba. Dicebatis. Ye were saying, y'all used to say. The passive, dicebamini. Dicebamini. Ye were being said. The being is important, Ben. Future, use the future endings for the third conjugation. Es, et, emus, etis, ant, emus. So, ducatus. We want etis, ant. Ducatus. E-T-I-S. Or decatus. Decatus. Ye will say. Ye shall say. Decatus. The passive would be decamini. Decamini. Ye will be said. The perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect use the perfect stem dix. Third principal part, chop off the I. Dix. And then the passive will use dictus, like a first and second declension adjective, dictus aum, but make sure it is plural. So dicti, I, ah. Dicti for the masculine, I, dicti for the feminine, and ah, dicta for the plural neuter. And then we'll add the helping verbs. Second person plural. The perfect active, e isti it, imus istis, eron istis, dixistis, dixistis. Ye said, y'all said, ye have said. The passive, dicti ia estis, estis, the present of some. Ye were said, ye have been said. The pluperfect active, dixeratis, dixeratis, ye had said. The passive, dicti ia eratis, ye had been said. The future perfect active, dixeritis, dixeritis, ye will have said. And the passive, dicti ia eritis, ye will have been said. Now for the imperatives singular active, like duke, like duco, dico has in a regular imperative form the same way. It's just the present stem, dik. So duke and dik. So dik, speak, say, singular person, say thou, speak you, dik. Passive, dicere, be said, get said you, come on. The imperative plural active is dicite, speak ye. And then the passive is dicimini, the same as the present passive in the second person plural. Dicimini. Context will tell you which one is correct. Either be said ye, which would totally be said all the time and everywhere, as well as the present ye are being said. Obviously, very commonly said, used all the time. N6, pono, ponere, posui, positus in the third person plural. To put or to place, we use place. I want to place, I placed, I have placed. Third person plural, so a lot of unts, nts in the active. Untors, ntur in the passive. A lot of theys in the active, in the English active and passive. They being the personal pronoun going with the unt, ost, mustis, unt, arestor, more, many, untor. So it's a third conjugation verb, pono, ponere, posui, positus, o, ere, e, us. So go to the first principal part and chop off the O, pon, P-O-N, and write pon, P-O-N, as the stem for the present imperfect future, active, and passive voice. Now for the present tense, you're going to add the letter U between the stem pon and the unt. This is the only time you add the U here. Ponunt, not ponent, not ponent, ponunt. U-N-T, ponunt, they put, they place, they are placing. The passive follows suit, only it's ponuntor, U-N-T-U-R, ponuntor, they are being placed, they are being set. The imperfect adds an E between the stem and the ba, so ponebant, ponebant. They were putting, they were placing. The passive, ponebantor, they were being placed. The being is important, Ben. The future active, no bobus bit. We use s, et, amos, etis, ent, ent, ent. It's ponent, ent, different from the present, ponunt. They will put, they will place. Passive uses the endings ar, eris, etor, emor, emini, entor, ponentor, ponentor. They will be placed. The perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect uses the perfect stem posu. Third principal part, chop off the I. Posu. So write posu as the stem for the perfect, pluperfect, future perfect active. The passive uses the fourth principal part, positus. Treat it like an adjective with the first and second declension, positus aum, but make sure it's plural. So positi for the masculine, positae for the feminine, posita for the neuter. Then we'll add a helping verb. So positi I positi I positi I for the perfect, pluperfect, future perfect passive. Let's add the endings. For the perfect active, esti it, imus istis, erunt, erunt, erunt. So posu erunt, posuerunt, they placed, they have placed. The passive, we use the fourth principal part, just make sure it's plural. Positi I sunt, sunt, the third person plural, present of sunt. They were placed, they have been placed. Pluperfect, posuerant, posuerant, they had placed. Passive, positi I erant, they had been placed. Future perfect, posuerent, posuerent, they will have placed. And then the passive, positi I erunt, erunt, erunt is the third plural future of sum, erunt. They will have been placed. The imperative singular is pone. Chop the RE off the second principal part. Pone. Place. Put. Passive, ponere. Be placed. Come on, get placed. What are you doing? For the imperative plural active, present stem pone plus ite, ite, ponite. Place ye. Come on, put ye. Come on, guys, put it there. And then the passive ponimini. Ponimini. Be put ye. Optime. Very well done. That concludes exercise A of chapter 17. You're ready to move on to exercise B. Volete omnes.